Should go live. Hey, shiny people, how's it going? Jim Cremella and Kirst coming at you today. We are officially taking over Coffee with Michael for this Friday, and we are super excited to be here. I'll give you guys a few minutes to go ahead and log in, and let me make sure that this is all working. Hey, it is. This is the first time I've ever used this software, so I want to make sure it works well. So go ahead. We'll give it a minute or two for you all to get in here. And go ahead and don't be shy. Say hello. Let us know where you're watching from, and then we'll go ahead and get started. Today's topic is amazing. I am super excited. We've never talked about it here live, and that is how you create custom audiences, what custom audiences are working well, how you build lookalike audiences off of them, and how you can leverage them beyond just your static interest audiences or broad demographics. So we'll give people just a few minutes to go ahead and log in and get watching. And good morning, Mark. Good morning, Mr. Holland from England. Good morning from Tallahassee, Florida. Washika, are you a Knowles fan? I might not have to. You might have some issues if you're a Knowles fan. I'm a Gator. Sorry, there's a born and bred Gator here. Good morning, David. Good morning from Connecticut. Good morning, Costa. Good morning. Good morning. We'll give it just where are we at? It's 11:01. I'll give it 2 more minutes and then we'll go ahead and get started. Good morning, John. How are you doing today from Toronto? Good morning, Facebook user. That's my favorite. Oh, okay, Wachika. You and I can be friends then. Hurricanes all the way. I'll take that. I don't mind the Hurricanes. It's probably because we don't play y'all too much. Um, if it was an annual thing, it might be worse, but that's fine with me. I'll accept the Hurricanes. I hope you guys figure out coaching and get a back to where you belong in national prominence, just like us. I don't care if Florida State, goes back to the stays in BCS or wherever. If they want to go Division II, that's fine. Texas. Good morning, Jennifer. How are you? Matt, good morning. Yes, I've got the toast. I haven't memorized it, but I have it here to read, so I can read just fine.
He's talking about bread, right?
You do in the toast? No, it's the digital marketer's toast. I ate my toast earlier. Had peanut butter on it. It was awesome. All right, let's go ahead and get this in respect to everybody's time here. We'll go ahead and get this thing started and look forward to it. So without further ado, go ahead and grab your beverage of choice. And here we go. Raise up your glasses, mugs, bottles, or flasks, and join me now for the Digital Marketer's Toast. Here's to more conversions, more cash, cheap CPMs, and lower CACs, to higher CTRs, much higher CVRs, to enabled ad accounts and big bank accounts, to upsells, downsells, and cross sells, to winning products and repeat sells, to the thing that everybody knows: the riches are in the niches, but also in your email flows. Ready? Cheers.
Cheers.
All right. Now I know I'm going to get a lot of flack from Michael for not doing the what's up thing, but I just can't. I can't do the what's up thing.
How do we synchronize on drinks? Like, it's just mineral water, right? Like,
Yeah, this is
6 cents.
if it was like you actually have an excuse, you could probably get away with having an alcoholic beverage right now with where you're at. But for me, it's only 11, and I guess it's 5 o'clock somewhere. So,
Yeah.
all right, all let's go ahead and get this thing started. Let's dive in. First things first, we got to knock some of the stuff out of the way. So let's go through some of these slides real quick. Make sure you like this post, drop some loves in the comments below. We love to see all your emojis. Best emoji wins bragging rights until next week, because I don't know what I can offer you. So we're gonna do bragging rights. Feel free to like, comment. We're gonna make this as interactive as possible. We do have like a lesson that we want to give you guys today about custom audiences and lookalike audiences, and then hopefully, if there's time, sort of an extended Q&A session, so that if you guys have individual questions, we're here to answer them as best as we possibly can. So there's that announcement. I'm going to try and blow through these things. So I know Michael usually takes what, like 20, 30 minutes with all these things. Testimonials. The deal with testimonials is if your name shows up here with the testimonials, you get free swag. I have no idea how that works, but there's a magician in the background that once your name is on there, they send you out some free swag. So congratulations. We do that to help you guys be motivated and share your successes and your learnings. Okay. So it's not just do we love seeing wins? Yes, we do. We love seeing your wins, whether it's a small win, like it's your very first sale, or it's crossed a major milestone. That's also fantastic. But if you're just you've gotten over the hump, you've decided that you started or running ads, or you've made a major milestone, definitely share that information, and we would love to see it. So let's go ahead to testimonials. So David, congratulations, David. Finally got my first sale on Facebook after 2.5 months. That's what it takes. So great job. Congratulations on.
They're here to pressure wash the house and they want to move the car. Can I move the car?
Yeah, it's sorry, everybody. Okay, evidently my house is being pressure washed right now. Who knew? And I've got a car in the driveway, so I have to move the car out of the driveway. All right, let's get going. This is what happens when you do live TV, Kirst. Things just get derailed and you have to adjust. So, all right, so David, fantastic job here. And it looks like you collabed with one of our graphic designers. So fantastic job. Way to stick to it. You'll have free swag coming your way. Ben, sales for the month for ShineOn products so far, slowly but surely starting to grow. And that's what it takes. You just have to start slow, do consistent action, like one small step, one consistent action, day after day after day. And before you know it, that 506 will have a couple extra zeros on the end of it. So just keep at it. Great job, Ben. You'll have some swag coming your way too. Jen, somehow the stars aligned and my work is paying off. Made 9 sales today and I'm on the platform. Fantastic job, Jen. Congratulations. I love seeing that stuff. Okay, so here we go. So each week we randomly draw 2 to 5 posts from the group to gift some swag for a chance to get yours. Testimonial post, value post, whether you've learned something new, you've passed a milestone, you've made your first sale, or you've made some breakthroughs on it. That's how you get entered for some free swag. Latest news coming up. We have, hey, that's us. Who knew? So if you want some coaching, you want to talk to KRSTE on a regular basis, you want to get your direct questions answered whenever you feel like, because KRSTE never sleeps. That's what I figured out. I don't know. I think he gets like half-hour naps here and there throughout the day, but pretty much if I message him, I get a response back all hours of the day. So I'm not sure when you sleep, man. But if you're interested in our coaching program and you want to be like handheld, get support, get access to a ton of great content, really work with your specific products, your specific campaigns, highly recommend coaching.shineon.com. I know KRSTE's been working very, very hard, kind of overhauling it, making it even better proposition for you guys. So get in now because, grandfathered in always is a better deal than anything new that would come out or any offer going forward. So that's our pitch to you for coaching on today. Shot of espresso. It's just self-promotion time, I guess. Shot of espresso. That is sort of a combo of what we're doing here. Normally you'd get a guide and then you would have an overview video. And today you get us live. But I will say that I've already got next week's shot of espresso prepared. It is all the different testing techniques and levers you can pull, things you can test during our testing phase. So things like budget, placements, structures, your different audiences you can use. So it'll be a fun one, probably pretty in depth as well. So that's next week's shot of espresso coming at you, and it'll be live in the group here. I think on Wednesdays when we're getting that one out. Best way to stay caught up is join this group. So if you're watching us on Facebook regular, or you're watching us from YouTube or anywhere else on the interwebs, and you are not a member of our group, ShineOn Profits on Demand, you're missing out. You're missing out on a ton of fun, a ton of engaged people. We have over 22,000 people in the group. It is the most engaged e-commerce group on planet Earth. So if you want to interact, get questions answered, get some inspiration, find motivation, find friends or people to work with that are in your area, definitely join that group. And all right, so let's go. Without further ado, here comes the fun part of the show. So I have never used this software before. So if it breaks, I apologize, but I think we're going to be fine. I am going to go ahead and share my screen. Share screen, and we want to share this one. All right, I love that. This software is awesome. That's very, very easy. All right, so we're here in our test account. So it literally says Jim's test account, and we're talking about custom audiences first. So if you guys are new to this or you're just not familiar with it, custom audiences are Facebook's way of like tracking people that do certain interactions, whether it's on your page, your Instagram post, a specific ad, and then once they get on your website, they also will show you like your different interactions on the website, whether they visited a specific page or they view content or add it to cart or initiate checkout or purchase. Those are kind of the standard events that are tracked. So there are a ton of different audiences, and they're used to seed lookalikes. So let's say you are running an image ad, and you've been running it for a while, and you've had 1,000 people click like, comment, share. They've interacted with the post itself. Then what you can do is you can create a custom audience for it. Now, you can create custom audiences with as little as like 100 interactions or 100 of whatever you're creating it for. And we'll get into that specifics in a minute. But I always try and have at least 1,000 of events before I create the audience. And Kirst, you may agree with me, you may not. Where do you try to get what number of event fires, or for whatever audience you're creating, what do you try to get before you create a custom audience?
For me, I agree with you. Like I'd say 1,000 is give or take the magic number. You know, sometimes it ends up being a little bit less. Sometimes you can get away with 750. Sometimes it takes a little bit more, 1,250 or something like that. But for the most part, I think 1,000 is probably like, you know, your go-to. I mean, you can try it a little bit earlier, but for the most part, the more data you have, the better it's going to perform. And I think TikTok doesn't let you create any custom audiences unless you have 1,000 events. So I think that that's probably a good baseline to start as a standard. Like, so I think, you know, if you want to be a bit gun happy, you can try 750, but ideally you want to have at least 1,000.
Yep, that's kind of where I was at with it too. Now, some of you watching this may be like, "Oh my gosh, you talking about I have to have 1,000 purchases before I create any custom audiences?" And the answer is no. It's just depend. Like, obviously, if you're going to create a purchase custom audience, you would want to have 1,000 purchases to do that. But there are a lot of audiences before you ever get to purchase that you can test with. And honestly, I've seen better results with much more up funnel interactions than I have down funnel. And that's really because of the iOS updates and the fact that Facebook has just lost so much data coming back from the website. So any audiences that you can leverage with on Facebook data, I'm actually finding better results overall. So let's go ahead. Would you agree with that, Kirst, or would you see something different?
Yeah, and it's like basically the reason why the lower funnel metrics generally work as better as lookalikes is because they have more data. So the more data an audience has, the better it can use its AI to match other people that look like the people that, you know, viewed content, added to cart, so on and so forth. So I agree. I also find that, you know, the lower metric lookalikes tend to perform better than the you know, the higher metrics like purchase, initiate, checkout.
Awesome. All right, so let's get in here. So if you want to create a custom audience, you go create audience and then custom audience. And then here are all of the categories or sources, if you will, that you can create audiences from. So you've got, this is website. This is like actual events that occur on your website. So whether that's view content, time spent on site, page views, add to carts, initiate checkouts, and purchases will all stem from here. If you've been in business for a while or you've generated multiple purchases and you have a customer list that you can either export directly from Shopify or Klaviyo or any other ESP service, so that's email service provider that you would use, then you can extract that customer list and then upload it as well. For our purposes, running e-commerce stores, we don't typically have app activity or offline activity. Offline activity would be like if you're a brick and mortar store. App activity would be obviously if we have app installs or things of that nature. And then here is where we're finding a lot of success is on Meta or on Facebook sources. So these are things that occur before people leave and go to the website. So that would be video views. Obviously, if you're only running image ads, this would not be available to you. It's one of the reasons why I am a big proponent in videos. Now, you say, well, Jim, I don't have a sample of my product. How can I make a video of it? Well, you can do a couple things. Either take your favorite static image and then just put it in a video editing software, let it run for 30 seconds, and that's a video. And if someone's going to take the time to read the whole thing, for that 30 seconds, that increases watch time. That allows you to build a custom audiences of videos. You can also do a slideshow. You could take multiple renders that we provide you, multiple of the images, put them into like oh geez, what's a software that'll do that? I forget the name of it. It's like you take static images and you throw it in, and they create the slideshows for you.
You can do it in Canva. You can do it in TikTok video editor. You can do it in Snapchat, Facebook, or pretty much all of the advertising platforms have the ability to create slideshow out of images. So, and for the most part, I find them like the easiest to use compared to like Filmora or like some video editing software. They're probably less intuitive. Like I think, a lot of the advertising platforms make their video editing software very intuitive, so media buyers can use it rather than video editors per se. So any of the advertising platforms, Snapchat, Facebook, TikTok, can create those slideshows.
Yep. Yeah, I also noticed that when I was running dynamic creative ads with just images, Facebook will automatically make a video for you from the images. And sometimes they'll like dump a bunch of traffic on it, even though you just wanted to test the images. So there is a way to like get rid of that, but that's just a setting. You just have to pay attention to it. So
one of my previous methods from Triumph was like a banana kick method where it used dynamic creatives, and we only used one image, and everyone was like, why are you using dynamic creative if you're just using one image? Well, it creates like a zoom effect on the image or slide up sort of thing. It makes it dynamic for you. So it does get you extra pockets of the audience which resonate with videos. So it does break you into a new pocket. So definitely would recommend slideshows and video style creatives based off an image.
Awesome. So videos are an option for you, even if you're just working with images. Okay, so that's a couple of ideas for you, and that will create opportunities for a lot of different custom audiences. And we'll go into a couple of these like in depth here in a minute. I just want to do like an overview first. If you don't have an Instagram account that attaches to like your Facebook page, I would highly recommend you make one. You can use like your store's email, and then you create an Instagram account, and then just switch it to professional. And then you'll be able to link the two things. And then Facebook will actually start keeping track of the interactions that occur on the Instagram account as well. And then so this will give you access to it. I don't believe the other option is that if you don't have an Instagram account, when you get to the ad settings, you would just select the use Facebook page as the placeholder for the Instagram ads, which you can do, and that'll allow you to get audiences for the Facebook page. You just wouldn't be able to do anything with the Instagram account, obviously, if you don't have one. Lead form, unless you're doing signups for like a giveaway or a subscription or some type of tripwire, you would not be running lead form ads in an e-commerce store in most general applications of it. So there wouldn't be anything here. Instant experience you could do. I've had some mixed success over the years with instant experience. That's where like you create sort of a landing page inside of Facebook itself to try to get, it's sort of like a bridge page, if you will, if you're familiar with affiliate marketing and all. It's you go ad, and then here's this instant experience, and then that you give them more information on the product. Here's a bunch of images, and then you present the offer and take us up on the offer by clicking on and going to it. Do you have any experience with instant experience, KRSTE?
No, but I'd like to have some experience. I think that
Yeah.
even TikTok introduced the same feature. So I like the fact that it's still on the platform. So that means the tracking would be better.
Yep.
So like in the current state, it may be a go-to. So it's something that I want to play with, and I will share with the community as soon as I play around with it some more.
Yeah, it's something that I used to do a few years ago. I haven't done. I did mess with instant experience in like Q3 because I was trying to figure out how to force an ad, like a video ad, to our Facebook shop. And Facebook, for whatever reason, won't let you send, if you have a conversion ad, it won't let you send traffic to the Facebook shop, which doesn't seem like it would make sense at all. It seems like that's exactly what they would want you to do, because then it's everything is in the ecosystem, right? Like, and our Facebook shop is actually set up to where you check out directly on Facebook. So I was like, well, that's the entire ecosystem on Facebook. Let's do this, right? And then Facebook doesn't actually allow you that option, which is really, hi, buddy. My son just woke up from his nap. And then so Facebook page, this is a ton of options for you. This is where most of the really successful ads that I'm running currently are coming from if I'm using lookalike audiences and not either broad-based demo targeting or interest targeting. On Facebook listings, those would be if you have like are listing your stuff on Facebook Marketplace. I know that I am not currently, I don't think we're doing any active listings themselves on Facebook Marketplace, but it's just like Etsy or Amazon. It's just another distribution channel. So if there's a way you can figure out how to connect, from Facebook Marketplace into Shopify, then that should be able to work too. Same thing with shopping. So anything on the overview, Kirst, you want to cover that I might have missed?
No, I think we covered everything that we can use.
Okay, so let's go into Facebook page first, and I'll show you all the different options. So we'll get the right page. We'll just go ShineOn as our example. And then here are all the different events just for the Facebook page that you can do. Now, honestly, a lot of this is overkill, overlap. So I wouldn't create every single one of them. If you're just starting out, I would go with the one that's going to provide the most data. And then you can like get kind of more narrow as you have more exposure on your ads. You're running ads longer. So you go people who currently like or follow your page. So obviously, if you've run page like ads or you have 50,000 people or 10,000 people or even more than 1,000 people that like your page, now you're really qualified to create that. Everyone who engaged with your page is not someone who's liked or followed, but they've engaged with something on your page, whether it's a post, an ad, they've gone to your site, they've watched your video, but they've engaged in some way, shape, or form. This is anyone who visited your page. They physically would have to go from the ad to your page. So not clicking on the ad, but from your post to the page itself to kind of check things out. People who engaged with any post or ad. So that's specifically a little bit more narrow. So if this is more broad, this is narrow, this is more narrow, obviously this is more narrow, and then this is more narrow still. So depending on how much traffic you've sent through your page and how much interaction you get on your page would kind of determine. Let's see if that loads.
So to pick a couple that I would probably highly recommend from the list is the call to action button, and also the what was the other one?
So call to action. So that's the people who clicked call to action, and then what else?
And then go further down.
That's as far as we can go. That's all of them.
So yeah, you can use the one above it as well, who engage with any post or ad. And then call to action. I think call to action is probably the highest quality event out of the list, because they've actually gone to the site at least.
That's like the very last action they can do before they go to your website. So I totally agree with you. The only thing that may not capture is if you run a link in the primary text section, which I don't see many ads doing that anymore. We used to do it all the time. We don't necessarily recommend it, but I'm just looking at a potential example of where you might not get everyone that goes from the ad to the site as if you put a link in the primary text. But most of the time, you should just be doing the Shop Now button anyway. And so this would be the most highest buying intent audience. So for this example, we'll go ahead and click this. Retention can go as high as 365 days. Is there a specific time frame that you like better than others, Kirst?
So I guess it depends on how much traffic I'm running. So if I'm if I'm aggressive and I have a lot of ads, it may be 7, 14, or 30 days. In the case right now, when you're running a lower amount of ads, you probably look at minimum of 30 to 60 days. So it really depends on how much traffic you're running. We come back to the point where we want to have at least 1,000 events. So you should be able to judge based on how much advertising spend you're having to how much data you'll have on these events. And you can, for the most part, you can go to the events manager, the events manager, and you can see how much events you have on view content. So you can imagine, like, if you add at least like 30 or 50%, that's how much your people who click to call to action will probably be at. So you can gauge that. And so if you have like well
Would
over
we be able to
1,000,
gauge it also off of like if we're looking in Ads Manager and you go with link clicks, would that be about roughly the same too?
Yeah, I think it's a little bit more than link
Inflated,
click
right?
because they get lost. So
Yeah.
but you can definitely gauge, like, if you have 1,000 view contents, then of course you're gonna have a lot more people that click call to action. So you can go really aggressive with like the 7 to 14 day audiences. But yeah, it really depends on the traffic. But if you want to just play safe, select 30.
Yep. Okay.
30
So
days.
we had a good question. Let me see if I click the question. Oh, show. There we go. Gary asks, if more data is better, then why would you ever pick less than 365 days? Do you want to answer that? Or you want me to
Okay.
answer that?
Yeah, so with 365 days, that's capturing the entire year. So say, for example, you're doing a Valentine's Day campaign, or you're doing any sort of like event-based campaign. Uh, a lot of the data which you have more recently is going to be a lot more relevant. And if you spread the data over a longer period of time, it's going to be less accurate. So in a shorter period of time, it tends to optimize better with the AI. So like, even if you have like a pixel and you start ads after like 6 months, it takes like a few days for it to wake up and recalibrate, sort of thing. So it's the same sort of principle there. That's the reason why I'd probably pick a shorter period of time. But maybe Jim has a different methodology here and
Yeah,
thought.
I'll add to it. I think it's sort of like a Goldilocks situation where you don't want it to be too big and you don't want it to be too small. You just want it to be just right. Because I agree with Kirst that if you had 365 days, you're going to have an awful lot of people in that audience right now that they were in the buying mode during Q4, which means they were in a holiday shopping mode. Well, now we're outside of that mode. So we're actually looking for the same type of person, but in a different psychological frame. So we're looking for someone that needs to buy a birthday gift or an anniversary gift, or we have Mother's Day coming up, right? So it's not necessarily the same exact person who is motivated during this time of the year that is during Q4. So I have found for these types of audiences, I won't go larger than 90 days. And I do agree with Kirst, if it's like a big changeover in time from Q4 into Q1, then I'll even go a little bit more narrow into that 30 days, the 30-day window. Ultimately, though, if you don't have 1,000 events in 30 days, then you need to go 60 days. If you don't have 1,000 events in 60 days, then go to 90 days, because you want to, like, there is a sort of a diminishing return on audience size. If you have, is 1,000 events better than 100 events? Absolutely. But is 10,000 events markedly better than 1,000 events? And I would argue probably not. Is 100,000 events better than 10,000 events? Again, probably not, because there's only so much of a seed data that you'll get. And I've done this where I've done 180 days. That used to be the de facto. You just do 180 days and on your regular audiences and let them run. But I started running the shorter time frames, and I was getting better results from my 30-day audiences than my 180-day audiences. So you're more than welcome to test the stuff, right? Like if it's, I want to test what's this 365 versus 30 days of the same audience do performance wise. It's an absolute valid test. I would imagine from what I've seen, and it sounds like from what KRSTE has seen, is that the more narrow the time frame, as long as you're providing enough event data to seed that audience properly, the closer, more the smaller time frame is going to perform better.
Yeah,
I think we
and
beat that one to death.
yeah, especially in like when you're in Valentine's Day and you're like targeting men or women, for example, that are leaving gifts for the last minute, and you've got a lot of data of people that are last minute shoppers. That can be really lucrative audience during that
Yep.
time.
Yep. And there's and different time frames will serve different purposes. If you're trying to leverage a custom audience to use as a retargeting or a warm audience, right? So your intention is to, I want to retarget everyone who has clicked on my call to action in the last 30 days. So we would create an audience. Let me go ahead and create this correct page here. Go 30 days. And then you create a name for it. And usually I just do something along the lines of whatever, if there's a product, if it's product specific, that's fine. Like if you have one page per niche, you can do that. If not, then you would just say, so whatever the page name is, and then it would go, and then CTA click, and then 30 days. Create audience. Now, if I was going to retarget and I wanted to retarget everyone who clicked on my CTA but didn't purchase, what I would do is in my audience in the ad set, I would create include this audience, CTA click, exclude everyone who purchased in the last 180 days or 30 days or whatever it is, whatever time frame you have there. So what you're saying to Facebook is, I want you to retarget all of the people who clicked my ad in the last 30 days, but if they purchase, I don't want them to see it. So that's one of the powers of custom audiences, is it's a way to retarget your people. So if you've got ads running and now if you're running a lot of traffic, you can split test that. You can go 1 day, 7 day, 14 day, and then have different marketing messages for each of those people. Well, if they clicked my ad today and they didn't buy today, let me go back with them with a different ad, because they're my hottest buyers. But for that to be effective, you kind of have to be running some fairly sizable traffic to keep that data pool. If you're not averaging 1,000 clicks a day off of it, then you're probably not running enough budget to make sense of use of that. Would you agree with that, KRSTE?
Yeah, for sure. I think the other thing is, I tend to spend a little bit less on the budgets where I'm excluding audiences, because
Yep.
it doesn't work as well as it used to with the iOS update. So you may find that some people that did purchase still will see your ad, but there's nothing you can do anymore.
Correct.
Like, you do your best as a marketer, not for them not to see your ad, but
Yeah.
it's out of our hands now.
And I don't necessarily think that was true ever with Facebook, right? Like I don't think their custom audiences were ever 100% accurate. I do totally agree with you that they're way less accurate now. But you just have to you do the best you can, you exclude what you can, and then understand that people that bought it's not horrible if someone sees your ad again that purchased from you, especially with our products, because more than likely they're going to leave a positive comment. Like there are some ads, like if I have my evergreen ads and they're scaled and they've been out for a while, I'll let them run to people who purchased, because then I'll get filled with testimonials of, I love this. This came great. My daughter cried. She was amazing. This was an amazing gift. This was perfect. So if you're gonna, if you've got a great product like we offer and you've got a lot of sales off of it, you may want to allow the purchasers to see it so they can fill in with testimonials. Now, it's a double-edged sword too, because customer service issues tend to pop up in that ad as well. So you have to actively manage the comments, right? So if someone said, "Hey, I ordered it, but it came 3 weeks later, or it got lost in the mail," which happens all the time, right? And that's nothing that you did. That's nothing that ShineOn did. That's the Postal Service. Postal Service is not 100% accurate either. That's why Amazon built an entire distribution network on their own, because they were tired of leveraging these other services that weren't as good. So it is a good place to do customer service and show people that you're a real company and things like that. All right, so that is sort of how you use custom audiences, right? So you can create custom audiences off of anything. So if we were to go to website, okay, and here's, you would pick your source, and the source is typically the pixel that you're running everything off of. I have a master pixel over one of our stores, so that's what popped up. And then you have all the events you can pick from too. So you've got all website visitors. So that's anyone who ever came to your site will get into this thing. You can go to someone who did a specific web page, and then you would have, let's say it was, you want anyone that contains the word daughter because you're going to build out a daughter thing. You can totally do that. If you want to go to specific events with like the standard events or your events manager, typically you're going to do view content, page view, add to cart, initiate checkout, and then purchase. Those are the standard events. Now remember, when you're doing this, you want at least 1,000 event fires for each event that is tracked. So we know view contents aren't tracking all, add to carts aren't tracking all. So it's going to take longer to get there. That's why I wanted to spend some time on the stuff that happens on the page, because that's 100% tracked. Kirst, what would be your favorite sort of on websites type of custom audiences that you would use? Like, what are your go-tos?
Yeah, so I like a lot of these for retargeting. So visitors who visited specific web pages. So, I would go and select my different collections. So I'd have a daughter collection and, a love niche collection and so on and so forth. So
But you
I'd
would
probably,
create different custom audiences for each collection, right?
yeah, because what tends to happen is you'll drive people in to a product and then they'll go and search the store and they may not purchase. But when you catch them when they're visiting another product, they're warm on the other product. So when you retarget them, you're likely going to get that conversion. So that's a really cool one to use. And then basically anything from page view to purchase as well for retargeting. And then like obviously you can also gauge. Look, so if you get purchases on retargeting on any of these custom audiences, I would then test them as lookalike audiences because the seed audience is just strong. So I would probably test them as a retargeting audience first on warm
Okay.
traffic, and then convert it to a lookalike audience. Probably start with the lower percentages and work my way up depending on how broad I can go without it decreasing the performance.
Sure. So when you're doing these as retargeting audiences, what kind of budgets are you sort of eyeing to first start? Because obviously, trying to hit an audience of 3,000 is much different than a typical interest target audience of 30 million. So what kind of budgets are you playing with doing a retargeting? Let's say it's an evergreen time of year. You're going to run retargeting on the view content event for the last 30 days. Like, what would be your go-to budget for that?
So I start like lookalike. Sorry, the custom audience is really small, like probably like $5 or less. And then I'll gauge over like 2 days if they spend anything or not, whether Facebook can deliver to those audiences. So you'll find most of the time some of these audiences are too small for it to even deliver, even if you put $1. So then you'll know the ones which have enough data to mature. So you can increase them if they're giving you good results. So if you're getting like 3 purchases for $5, obviously there is quite a lot of data in that you can increase it. But if you're just getting like steady purchases, I'd probably just leave it at the smaller budgets because yeah, like you say, it's a small portion of the audiences. If you drive the budgets up very quickly, you'll you probably exhaust that audience and
Mhm.
it's finished, right? So you
Yeah,
just
then your frequency jacks up above 4 or something like that, and then they're
and your
like,
CPMs go to the moon. So like
yep,
$100 for 1,000 impressions, sort of
yep.
thing. So you
So
don't
what
get your
would I'll let people know though, when you are running custom audiences for retargeting, expect your CPMs to be drastically higher in most cases than on a prospecting campaign where you've got millions and millions of viewers. Like it's not unsurprising or not shocking at all to see like $70 to $100 CPMs if you've got an audience of a few hundred people or 1,000 people. Because
Mhm.
remember, just because the audience is 1,000 people strong, you all 1,000 people are probably not going to log into Facebook every day. Like they're not, the average Facebook user now is not us, right? Where we use Facebook for work, we use Facebook to interact for what we're trying to do. We're on Facebook every day. The average person is not necessarily on Facebook every day. So out of 1,000 people, there might be 500 of them that actually show up. So if you're spending $3 or $5 a day on that audience, and you're telling Facebook it's lowest cost bid. So I don't care what it's going to cost in the auction. I need to show my ad to that person. Your CPMs are going to be really, really high. Have you seen the same thing, Kirst, or am I just, super lucky that way?
Yeah, no, it's exactly the same.
Okay.
I'll give you guys a hot tip. You can use bid caps where you just bid whatever you cost or whatever your target purchase price is, and then it won't spend unless those people are on Facebook, and you get really cheap purchases. That's just a hot tip for those of you
Oh,
that
see, I
understand.
went the other way. Sometimes I get good results, and sometimes I don't. I've done bid cap on custom audiences before, but I never did a bid cap of like the price I want it to do. I would just do a bid of like $999. That was my bid. I was like, I want every impression possible, um, and that's like it's sort of like a Russian roulette sort of setup. Like it's like you are going to spend that money because you're literally bidding. Facebook, believe it, in case you didn't know, Facebook's bid cap is, I don't know why this thing keeps dying on me, is $999. They will not let you bid above $999 for a bid cap. So I've done that. Sometimes it works. Most of the time, long term though, it does not. Finding the right balance of bid, especially at scale, like trying to run $1,000 budget at $999 bid, you're definitely going to spend $1,000. And if for some reason you accidentally put it on accelerated spend instead of normal distribution, you're going to get through it really quick. But you don't necessarily get the quality of traffic or the quality of performance that you're looking for. Um, all right, so we've shown a couple of really good custom audiences. Again, Facebook page, and I totally agree with Kirst that Facebook page is important because that's like the last interaction that the user has with your Facebook ad on Facebook. Which means, and if you guys don't really know why that's important, is once people go to your website, it's now Facebook's data tracking now flips into what they call third-party tracking, because it's Facebook trying to track on your website and they're tracking a person. So Facebook is one, the person is two, your store or platform is three. So third-party tracking. Okay, so that's what Apple is blocking. When the interaction occurs on Facebook, they're interacting directly with the source. So that's what they call first party tracking. So that's the most accurate. That's why, like years ago, when we first started getting into lookalikes, I would never do anything on the Facebook page. I just cared about what was happening on the website because like that's more relevant. But now you adapt, right? And this is one of those adaptations that you take into hold. Are there any other like go-to audiences that you're finding like super success with?
That's pretty much it. I like to play with instant experience, but I don't have anything to share on that yet.
Yeah,
But
I will say I've had very good, very good results on Instagram account. So going from Instagram account, and then it's pretty much the exact same thing as what you're seeing on Facebook page. I'm not sure why I'm getting the spinning wheel of death up here. There we go. We'll flip that to there. So anyone who engaged with the account, anyone who visited the account, anyone who engaged with post or ad, anyone who, so you can see it's like the same type of stuff, but for Instagram's account, not just Facebook page. And I have found really, really good results with people who engage with any post or ad on the Instagram account. So if you guys who are watching this, if you don't have an Instagram account, I highly recommend that you go create one. So that you can start collecting that data, because again, it gives Facebook, now I can have two custom audiences, one that interact with the Facebook page and then one that interact with Instagram. And that works very, very well. In addition, you can go, if again, once you start running video ads, you can do your custom audiences with videos, maybe if it comes up. I don't know what's going on there. It's probably going to crash again. Anyways, I'll just talk through it. So with video custom audiences, you'll get selections for, you'll be able to pick like what your look back period is. So it goes out to 365 days. Again, more relevant data, the better. So that 30-day window, maybe 60-day window. And then it'll the other option you'll have is percentage watch. So it'll say through play, 3-second view, 25% view, 50%, 75, or 95% view. And it really just depends on how long your video is. If your video is under 60 seconds, then I would say don't make anything smaller than 75% to 95%. If it's a really big, long video, like 5 minutes long, like you're doing a giant tutorial or something like that, then I would say that the smaller percentages bring a value. But like seriously, if it's 30 seconds of a video, you want them to watch 95 seconds, because if they only watch 25% of that, that's 8 seconds of it, right? So more than likely, unless you have a very small phrase, that 8 seconds isn't long enough to do the whole phrase. Right? And that's what you want to capture. You want to capture however long it takes to read your phrase. That's the percentage, like figure out my video is this long. It takes about 50% or 75% of the video to read the phrase. That's what you're going to tie the custom audience to on the video. KRSTE, are you seeing, you do the same thing? You do something different with that? Or you have a different insight on doing video custom audiences?
No, I do the same. I go for the higher audiences first, so most likely 75 plus, and that's basically the go-to on other video platforms as well, like TikTok, Snapchat, and the others. So I think the 75% people that are most interested are usually the strongest audience to make lookalikes. So for what we do, I think watching half of the video, probably not that interested.
Right.
But it's something that you can test, because it's hard to know for sure why someone drops off at half a video. It could be that they stop watching there to buy the necklace, so it's hard to really understand. So that's why I basically religiously test everything and see what works, because you can't know for sure.
Okay, awesome. Before we flip to lookalikes, I want to pause just a second. And for those of you watching, we are going to do some Q&A session after this, after we do lookalikes. So you don't have, it's not just questions on what we've been talking about as far as custom audience and lookalike audience. It can be any question. We'll answer as many as we can before we have to wrap up. But start thinking of your questions, start posting them in the stream. That way we're not waiting as we're going to wrap up this section on lookalikes, and then we'll go straight into the question and answers. And we'll go down the list and answer as many as we can. So if you're watching this and you've got questions that either it's on your specific campaigns or general things or whatever, feel free to start posting them in the chat as we go into lookalike audiences. That way we'll have some stacked up and ready to go. So don't necessarily want you to split your attention, but split your attention and ask questions while you're listening to lookalikes. All right, so once you have a seed audience, and I'll go ahead and use this one as the example. That's why we created it. So let's say we're going to do ShineOn CTA click 30 days. Okay. What you'll do is you'll click it and then click the 3 buttons and create lookalike. Then you'll get to this screen, and I don't know if they changed that. Once upon a time, they used to yell at me because last year they were like, we removed locations. So, but now they're still asking for locations. So I don't understand that. But then again, it's Facebook, so who knows? But what you'll do is, let's say you advertise in the US and Canada and the UK and Ireland. Let's say you focus on, and Australia. Let's say you focus on the big 5 for English speaking countries. Then you can create a lookalike from your seed audience based off of geolocation. So you can have one for Canada, you can have one for the US, you can have one for the UK, you can have one for wherever else. The limitation there is you would have to have the minimum number of events for each geo to make a geo-specific audience. So if you just started running traffic to Australia and you have 50 events, 50 people had CTA click from Australia, and you try to create an audience from that, it's going to tell you not enough audience. You have to wait. Okay. So keep that in mind as you're going. Most of us will operate in the US. Now, let's say you do operate in multiple countries, then you would want to put all of them, and you want to do a lookalike on all of them. You would stick all of the regions in one thing. So it would go United States, Canada, Australia, and this is just a carryover. I'm not saying like this is what you have to do. I'm just using this as a carryover example. All right, so if you are running traffic to multiple countries and you want to build a lookalike off of all multiple countries in one lookalike audience, you put them all together. Otherwise, you can create individual lookalike audiences for each geo. When you have to push fairly sizable amounts of traffic to do them individually, it can work. It has for me in the past. It doesn't always work though. Kirst, how do you set up your locations? Do you just do all in one, or do you separate them out?
I try to do all in one, but like you mentioned, if you don't have enough data, most times it's going to throw you off. For the most part, it ends up being mostly United States and Canada that being the countries which I can create them for. But the other way you can, there's 2 ways you can create lookalike audiences. So the other way is to actually create lookalike audiences off the pixel itself rather than the custom audience. So I think this way you can actually target more countries without having that limit. I'm not sure if it's this way or the other way. One way you can actually get around that. So we'll use like the other countries as a seed audience. I think it's this way that you can. We'll tell us very shortly.
Okay, yeah. Well, I'll make sure that I'll walk us through that, the setup using the pixel with the value added based. Okay, so this is where Kirsten and I are going to probably differ. So I'm excited to see what he does. Different doesn't mean wrong or one way is better. It's just what works best for us. Typically what I do from here is I will create 3 audiences. Okay. I will do, let me move this slider to 10 and to 4. So my 3 audiences will be 0 to 1%, 1 to 4%, and then 4 to 10%. And I will test against each other. So that creates 3 audiences from the same seed audience. Why would you do that? Well, Facebook has said, and in everything they're talking about, likes bigger, broader audiences, hence the 10%. I've had great success with 1%, so that's the most narrow, that's the most related thing. And then I've also had great success up to 4%. I've usually had, if I go to 5 or 6, and I test them separately, they're not near as good as the 4. So I don't know why. It's just what I've done. That's the habit that I get into. And I'll get Kirst's opinion here in just a minute. I want to kind of explain what a lookalike is. So you give Facebook a seed audience of, I want the 30 days of people who have clicked on the CTA button. So like the shop now, learn more, whatever. And honestly, if you're in ecom, you should just be using shop now, because I haven't found any benefit to using any of the other ones. But you may test it. If you have a longer form sales letter, learn more might do okay. But shop now for me has always worked the best. So it takes, let's say you have 5,000 people that have clicked on your ad in the last 30 days. Okay. It takes that 5,000 people as a seed audience, and Facebook then analyzes all of the data that it has on those 5,000 people, and then you're telling them to take a 1% or more percentage of the country that you're going in. So you can see here what the estimated reach is, and it's based off of the amount of people that would fit. I don't know what the heck is going on with this. There we go. Okay. So if it was just United States, this would be 2.2 million because 1% of the American audience is 2.2 people. It's more because we've added more countries. Okay. So depending on what your countries is, it'll say this is the available number of people in all of those countries that we could market to. And 1% of those people would be 3.84 million in our case with these countries. So it'll take 5,000 of our seed audience and it'll go find the 3.84 million people that are most closely related to the data points in these 5,000 people. Then you go to 4%, now you're up to 11.5. Same thing, right? It'll find the most related 11.5 million people to your seed audience. So you can see as the audience size grows, the percentage grows, the number of matching points in your audience is going to be less and less. So the bigger your audience, the less relevant it is. The smaller the audience, the more relevant it is. I put in air quotes on purpose because it's kind of relative. I've actually, of late, I will do this. And I'm finding that the 4% audience is like that happy sweet spot of performance for me. I get a lot of success out of that. And then second is actually the 10%, and third is 1%. 1%, even though it's the most closely related, it's also the most expensive. I see that my CPMs on 1% are typically a little bit higher, about 10 to 15% higher than a 4% or 10% or an interest. So that's what my observations are on lookalike. So now I'm going to shut up and get what KRSTE observations are. What do you do?
Yeah, so I agree. Like because it's the smallest audience out of all of the other ones, so between 1 and 4 and 10, the audiences are quite big. Because it's small, it's like 3.4 million. And yeah, what we discussed earlier about not all the users being on the platform on that particular day, you probably find it would be like maybe 20 or 30% of that audience that's online in any particular days, or maybe 40%. I don't know the exact figure, but you have to appreciate that it's an estimated reach. So it doesn't mean that you have 3.8 million in that audience at all times. So you have to keep that in mind when you are doing with these lookalike audiences. For me, I like to test everything. So my first test percentages would probably be 0 to 1, 0 to 2, 0 to 3, 0 to 4, 0 to 5, because I test all of them
you go
against
more
each
of that
other.
route.
And not like that. So I'd create one at a time. So I'd create 0 to 1, and then 0 to 2, and then 0 to 3.
Oh, so you would do the full. So you would go, I'm lazy. So what I would do in this is I would create them like this, and then I would just, in the ads manager, I would include. So like I would create the ad set with 0 to 1, duplicate the ad set, and then just add in the 1 to 2, right? So that's 0 to 1 plus 1 to 2 equals 0 to 2. So you do the big clumps. You do zeros. You go 0 to 1, 0 to 2, 0 to 3, 0 to 4, 0 to 5.
Yeah, that's my like first point of call. That's what I test first, like because I want to see at what point do I get a drop off in purchases. So if I can use like the 0 to 6 or 0 to 7 was the biggest clump and it's performing the best, then I can scale that aggressively. So I want to kind of gauge where the drop off is on the lookalike audiences. There's a differentiating factor here. If I'm doing like really aggressive strategies where I'm pushing upwards of $10,000 revenue a day, my strategy changes. So I'd probably use the big clumps like yourself straight away. So I'd do 0 to 1, 1 to 3, 3 to 5, 5 to 7, and then 7 to 10. And also like 0 to 5 and 5 to 10. So I'd like test bigger, broader audiences in the case where I am spending a lot of money, and I think
Right.
that all of the audiences will be largely populated. So, um, most recently testing lookalike audiences, it's been like the 1, 2, 3, which has been working, and the best sort of way has been to stack a lot of these lookalike audiences in the one ad set. So we're creating a CTA click, 30 days, 1 to 3 right now. I'd create that 1 to 3 for add to cart, initiate checkout, and all the other events, and stick them in one ad set. And that tends to outperform all the other lookalikes. But again, you have to test them yourself. But just to save a little bit of
Oh,
time,
it's not in here.
you
I was
you
going to show
can
an example
try
of it.
those first.
Yeah, so what Curse is saying, guys, is you would go in your ad set and you would, well, in here you would create a custom audience for all of your events. Like, let's say 10 different audiences, right? For 10 different custom audiences for all different events, all different things. And then you would create lookalikes for all 10 of those audiences at a specific percentage. So 0 to 3, 0 to 5, 0 to 10, whatever it is. And then all of the ones that fit that size category, so all of the 0 to 3s, all 10 0 to 3 audiences, he would put in the audience manager, in the audience section of the ad set settings and ads manager, right? That's what he means by stacking the audiences. I just finished running. I think that's what I showed in Shot of Espresso last week, was that exact thing. I was running that as a test, and it was working very well. Where you lump, you've got, here's all my 0 to 4s or my 4% audiences, and I lumped all 20 or 25 audiences that I had created all in one. And now I've got what Facebook wants, which is, a big giant audience, but it's all relevant stuff to me. So it's worth a test, right? And then it's like, well, if you find success with all of them, then you can go into the next test if potentially breaking out sections. So I want the on Facebook lookalikes, and I want the on website lookalikes, and split them out and see, okay, which one was driving the performance. You don't want to go too narrow with that, but you want to keep your audiences as big as possible. But I mean, at the end of the day, really, there are endless combinations of stuff that we can run, test, try, to try and work it. And I love having the conversations with KRSTE, because we overlap in a lot of the strategies that we do, but then there's little nuances that he'll do a little differently than me, and I'll do a little differently than him. Like, I do 0 to 1, 1 to 4, and then 4 to 10. And then you just said he does 0 to 1, 0 to 2, 0 to 3, 0 to 4. So that's a little bit different on how to do it, but ultimately it's just whatever works for us. So how you apply that with your campaigns is you've got to test some stuff to figure out what works best for you. When you're testing, highly recommend you test smaller budgets, so you're not burning through as much ad spend as you're figuring out which ones really work well. But that's the cost of doing business, in my opinion. Like, you have to be able to be willing to test some stuff to figure it out. I can tell you, lookalikes used to be the only thing that I ran, to be honest with you, because I had so much data, and I stayed in the same niches that I could just, okay, this product died, let me plug this product, which is the same category or niche, so I can, and then I would start my testing on lookalikes straight away. I wouldn't even do interests. Over the last year, I have seen more of a lookalikes not performing as well as they used to. I would say that they're still on par with a good interest audience. Like, you test your interest audiences, and 1 or 2 of them will definitely be performing well above what the other ones are. But the lookalikes, they're not as good as they used to be, in my opinion, but they are still very effective. And it's an audience that's based off of your data. So it has to be relevant. It does take some, I don't want to guess what interest targets to pick. Pick one, get data off of it, and then only run your lookalikes. And that's your baseline when you're testing products. And if your products will react well to it, then it's a much faster testing methodology, in my opinion. KRSTE, do you have anything else you want to wrap up about either custom audiences or lookalikes before we hop into some of these questions?
I would just quickly show the pixel variation.
Oh
of
yeah,
how
yeah. See, that's what happens when you get old, guys. You forget things. So lookalike, so create audience, lookalike audience, and then you pick your data source. So you pick whatever pixel it is, and then by default they'll say purchase. You can pick other events if you want. So if I've actually had really good success with initiate at checkout and view content. So especially if it's a newer store where you don't have a minimum of 1,000 purchases, you can create off your pixel, off of a smaller event, because there's going to be more events. So you can see there's that audience in the last 60 days is 13,000 versus purchase versus 546 in the last 60 days off of this pixel, right? So I would say, how do I, what do I pick here? I would go other events, and I would go as far down the funnel as I can go. That gives me at least 1,000 people. So add to cart has 1,300, initiate checkout has 710. So in my opinion, making a value-based audience from the pixel with the event add to cart, that gives me that. I don't know why that is. I have to figure out why this thing constantly dumps like that. Oops. Create lookalike, new source, master,
it's
other
probably
event.
streaming.
Yeah, it's probably I'm streaming on it too. Anyway, so you guys can pull this. Put your pixel in there. Pick what event gives you at least 1,000 for the last 60 days, and then you can create your lookalikes from there. So if you want 1% or you want to do, whatever your breakdown is, you can create your breakdown of audience, and this will give you value off the pixel. And I do find good success off of this. Is that how you would set it up, or would you
Yep.
do something different?
Yep, that's how I'd set it up.
Okay. Cool. All right. So that's that part. Let me go ahead and stop sharing the screen, and we'll go ahead and go back into here, and we'll go Q&As. And let's go ahead and pop up some of these questions. So as we're answering these questions, we'll kind of go ping pong. KRSTE, I'll give you first crack if you want to answer it, or you can deny and I'll answer it. So if you guys have questions, we'll go. I am going to go for about 8 to 10 minutes. So we'll see how many questions we can answer in 8 to 10 minutes. Sound good?
Sounds good.
Here comes the lightning round. Here we go. We answer that one. Here we go. What is an ideal video length you both find converts best on Facebook and Instagram?
I'd say 30 seconds to a minute
Me too.
would be the ideal.
Especially for our products. Like our products are not really demonstrable. What it's a fancy term for saying I don't have a gadget. It's like, here's a pen and I have to show it clicks and then it comes here and then this is how, like, there's no features or that you have to demonstrate it being used. One of the most effective ways to sell most products that have a use is to show it in action. So it's like, here's this light and I push this button and do these things. With our products, they're static, right? Like they don't have a function to, let me do that. There we go. They don't have a function to them. They're just a pretty necklace. So you show off the necklace, you show off the card, and that's really the point of the ad. Of the video, which typically is 30 to 60 seconds. I'll also add, like, Instagram Reels is a good placement. TikTok is doing really well for us. So, and all of those mediums want shorter videos, right? Like, KRSTE, would you say your average video on TikTok is like 30 seconds?
Yep. I test all video lengths. I test 10 seconds, 20 seconds, 30 seconds, and 60 seconds. So I test all four with every single product which I test on TikTok. So you'll find that TikTok's a little bit more intuitive than Facebook. It'll start spending on the different lengths because it knows like what people react to, whether it's a shorter or longer video. So it kind of splits them up in the right way. So I try to have all the different lengths for TikTok, whereas Facebook will just spend on one that it thinks it's the best. So
and usually it's wrong.
Yeah.
When it picks. All right, cool. So hopefully that answered that question. Can you tag products on your business page in Facebook and make sales to the platform? So you would need, I don't believe that's possible if you're using the platform. If you are using Shopify, you can set up a connection with through the sales channel that you can set up on Shopify and Facebook, to where you can have your shop, and then you will be able to tag products, because you'll be able to have the catalog go from the shop into your Facebook account. I do not believe the functionality exists to be able to do that on the platform. Do you have anything else to add to that one, Kirst?
No.
All right, cool. That one's easy enough. Boom, boom. When starting brand new, what is the greatest mistake to avoid while training the account pixel? Thinking proactively here. You want to answer that one?
Yeah, I guess make sure that you use the conversion purchase objective. A lot of people hear or get information that you have to run other traffic or other events. That's not true. Try and run the conversion objective, because the sooner you provide it what you want it to achieve, the faster it'll optimize. So just make sure that you are adjusting for purchase conversion. And if you don't have purchase conversion available to you, and it's saying you need to run landing page views or view content first, the way around that is to set up your pixel and then go to the platform and go to like the cart page, and then there's a code which you can put in the console that'll fire the purchase event, and you can fire that a few times, and then you'll be able to select purchase. There's a video which John posted a little while ago. You can find it on the YouTube channel, which goes through that. Maybe Tammy can source that and post it in the chat, but he goes through setting up the pixel and firing those events, so you can set up aggregated events manager. So that basically will be able that'll enable that purchase event to be selected straight away.
Awesome. All right, next one. What do you think about UK Mother's Day on March 27th? I think it's fantastic. I think it's a great opportunity, and I think you should start testing now so you can scale for a couple of weeks. Kirst, what do you think?
Yeah, I think Mother's Day is big in every country, right? So,
Yep.
like this is the first time you can really take full advantage of it, because the shipping times are between 3 and 4 days. Like you've got much more opportunity to scale this year compared to previous years. So, you can really capture the people that are leaving it till the last minute there. So, huge opportunity. And for the most part, like all you really need to change on your message cards is like the terminology from MOM to MUM.
Yep.
And again, like you get free testing for the US and Canada
Absolutely.
/ Australia Mother's Day, right? Because you've tested the product, it was working, and then it's most likely going to work again during the other period. So I definitely jump on the opportunity.
Yep. I was going to add just to what you were saying. I was going to bring up MUM. Like wherever you are marketing, you have to find the local customs. So if you're going to target the UK for Mother's Day, figure out all of the nuances of that relationship. And the biggest difference, or the most obvious, is they don't say mom in the UK. They say mum, M-U-M. So that's a big distinction, but it will drastically increase your conversion rate. And then to Kirst's point too, if you do a lot of testing for the UK Mother's Day, more than likely, if you find a winner, that's going to directly translate to the US and Canada, because I believe the US and Canada share their same Mother's Day here. So it's a good idea. Definitely, I would definitely start testing now for that. Should I create different pixels for each different niche? I'll take this one. It's real simple. Yes, you should. We use Trackify X as the app in our Shopify store for each individual thing. If you're using the platform, you could, just have different custom domains to set up, and then that'll allow you to have different pixels. But if you want to play in a lot of different niches, we do highly recommend that you have 1 pixel per niche. I would put one caveat on that, though, before I let Kirst add anything to it, which is if you haven't found success in one niche and you really want to be committed to that niche, find success in one niche first and then move on to an additional, and then try to add a second niche. If you got into a niche because you thought it would be easy, but you hate the niche, then go ahead and change the niche. But if it's just you haven't found that success yet, I would stay to it, because even if you're not making money, you're spending money on ads, it's not working, I'm just wasting money. What you are doing is giving data to your custom audiences, you're giving data to your pixel. So if you jump ship to another niche midstream before you find a winner in the first one, now you have to start all over, and all of the data you collected is now like thrown in the trash. It's not viable anymore. So I would recommend picking whatever niche you enjoy being in, that has competition and people want to buy stuff in, and then find profit in there first, and then move on to then add niches, not just change niches, if that makes sense. Kirst, would you add anything to that?
Yeah, I agree. I think there's also like a prerequisite before you can have multiple domains on the platform. I think it's 1,000 or 2,000 purchases. So that's just adding to the fact that you should really get success on one niche first, and work on your marketing skills before trying to divert your attention to many niches at once. Because I think if you split your attention and your effort across many different things, it's really hard to be successful at many different things at once. It's not impossible, but like I would focus on, if you're going to run a marathon, you're going to practice on smaller distances first, right? So you do 100 meters, 200 meters, and so stick to that 100 meters and perfect the 100 meters being the one niche, and then look at expanding out to different ones.
Awesome. Good. All right, we got time for one more. Well, I have time for one more because I've got lots of other stuff I have to do today, which I wish I could. I wish I could just sit here and answer y'all's questions all day long, because it's the most fun I'm having all day. But alas, we don't always get what we want. So final question is, so do you run custom audiences along with regular ads, i.e. demographics, interests, age, gender, in the same ad set? No, I do not. You can, if you have an audience that's working for, like, let's say you're doing an interest and it's a very large interest, like 40 million people plus, and you're finding some success with it, but you would like to layer it. Layering is a thing, and we haven't gotten there yet in our education, but it can be effective. Depending on how you layer, it can also increase your CPM. So like if you layer an interest target with a demographic, or a behavior, then you'll get a bump, because like the behaviors are more expensive than interests anyway, because they're from third-party data. So Facebook just passes the cost on to you anyway. So if you want it to take a 40 million person audience and you wanted it to go down to like a 5 million person audience, so the interest has worked well for you in the past, and you think this the lookalike audience that's at a 4% will work really well, that could give you some really good results, but you would have to test it. Also understand that if you're going with a smaller percentage lookalike audience with your layer to the interest, you're also lowering the amount of audience you're in. So you could be potentially lowering the amount of scale you can have, right? So if you're just scaling and you want small budget and keep profit high, I think it'd be worth it. I think you might be limiting the opportunities if you layer it, and now you're down to a 2 million person audience instead of a 4 or 5 million person audience. A 2 million person audience will not scale as much as a 10 million person audience. Hope that answered that question. Kirst, do you have anything to add to that one?
I've done it before. I haven't done it recently. It's kind of stopped working for me after iOS. I think it's less effective than what it was before. Like for the most part, like post iOS, just like Facebook wants everything to be big and broad, and I think that this contradicts that goal of being big and broad. It narrows it down, and that's where like the algorithm starts to fall apart. Like it doesn't have enough learning and data to continually get you purchases. So this may work on a short period of time, but like for a longer period of time, it probably will fall over at some point because of the way that the algorithm works in the current state. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see how that evolves as time goes by.
I think if I was to run it now, I would do it sort of like I would do an audience test to find interests and find one that works well. And then I would do a lookalike test to see which lookalike works well, and then start scaling those independently. And then once I figure out, okay, I want to scale it a little bit more, but keep ROI, then I may test where we layer. So that would be sort of like my third or fourth step down the road. Okay, I think, well, I'm out of time, but I will end this with tell your friends, earn referrals. So if you've got friends that want to get out of the 9 to 5, want a great opportunity to work with a fantastic company who genuinely cares about you guys and your success. And that's true. Like my job exists so that we find winners and then teach you how to do what we're doing. And that's why we are teaching all of the different skill sets that we possibly can think of to give you an armament to go to war with these traffic networks. So you can get referrals and earn commissions off of that. So you can earn extra money. Tell your friends, sign up, use them as the refers, and get some extra cash there. And then until next time, don't forget, you can sign up on ShineOn.com if you're not already a seller with us. We would love for you. We would be honored to earn your trust in your journey of being an entrepreneur. If you're not in our Facebook group or our YouTube channel or Instagram, those are the links to join us as well. And with that, KRSTE, thank you. Thank you so much for your time, your energy, and your effort in here. Your expertise is phenomenal. And I'm so proud that I get to say that I get to work with you every day. And for everyone that's watching, thank you so much for putting up with us. I believe next week is Michael's regularly scheduled info and personality. You'll get the what's up. I can't do it. I just can't do it. I'm like, it's so 1999. I don't even know when that commercial came out. But thank you all for paying such a good attention. KRSTE, till next time, buddy.
See you guys.
I'm out of water, so I got to go get some more water. You guys have a great weekend, and stay shiny out there, everybody. Bye now.